plus 8x and plus 9x plus 12. Notice how I still have an expression equal to the one up here. I just split the middle into 8x and 9x because I found those were the two numbers with a product of 72 and a sum of 17. Well, now I can factor by grouping, and you should be familiar with how to do this. I'm going to group these two and these two. In the first group, the greatest common factor is 2x, and what's left is 3x plus 4. And in the second group, the greatest common factor is 3, so we're left with 3x plus 4. And we've seen problems like this. This was kind of the greatest common factor of both these groups. It's 3x plus 4. So our factor is going to be 3x plus 4 times 2x plus 3. Okay. I'm going to do another example of that because I think this is hard to get from one example. And let's just jump right in. I'll try to leave that up there so you can still see it. Okay. Here's the next example. We're going to solve 3x squared plus 19x plus 20. We're going to factor it. Okay. So first, is there a greatest common factor of the three terms? No, there's not. So I can't start by using my greatest common factor strategy, and I can't use the simple sum product rule because there's a number out in front. So I could guess and check to find the answer, like I did up here in the first strategy, or I could split the middle. And I'm going to show you how to split the middle. So first, multiply the first two terms, which are 3 and 20. If there were a negative sign here, I'd multiply 3 by negative 20, but there's positive. So 3 times 20, and I get 60. We're going to look for numbers that have a product of 60 and a sum of 19, right? Because 19 is the middle term. So I'm thinking 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15. And I'm not even going to keep writing because 4 and 15 have a sum of 19. I should say, yes, none of these had a sum of 19. So I know how to split the middle. I'm going to say that expression is equal to 3x squared plus 4x plus 15x plus 20. And I could group that. And if I group the first two and the second two, I could factor out x from the first group, and I'd get 3x plus 4. I could factor out 5 from the second group, and I'd get 3x plus 4 again. So then I know to finish the factoring, I'm going to have 3x plus 4 and x plus 5. And I can check my answer by distributing back 3x times x, 3x squared, 3x times 5, 15x, 4 times x, and 4 times 5. Since those two are like terms, that's equal to 3x squared plus 19x plus 20. So I know I got the answer right. Here's another example. Say I had, I was going to factor. Actually, in this example, I'm going to make this problem a little bit trickier. So I'm going to make this problem kind of the hardest kind of problem that you could see. 42x squared minus 10x minus 8. Okay, so start. Can I find a greatest common factor here? And in this case, I can. The greatest common factor of all of these terms is 2. So we're going to start by factoring out a 2. 2 times 21x squared minus 5x minus 4. Okay. No greatest common factor in here. So now I have to factor this term, this expression. Well, I'm going to multiply 21 and 4, or negative 4 for my sum product rule. and I want to find the two numbers that have a product of, what is that, negative 84. So the product is negative 84, and the sum I'm looking for is negative 5. All right, well, let's think. And since I know that the sum is negative, and the negative number is going to be the bigger one, then it's going to be bigger than the positive number. So let's think you're going to have 1 and 84, and the negative is bigger. 2 and 42, negative is bigger. I don't think 3 goes into, it does go into 84. 3 times what would be 84? 28. And that's the negative. And I'm getting close. Let's see. Does 4 go into 84? Yeah, 4 goes into 84 21 times. And let's see what else goes into 84. 6 won't go into 84, I don't think, or will it? Well, I guess I'll figure that out down here. 6 into 84 once. So it does, 6 goes into 84 14 times. And 7, I know, in the times table goes into 84 12 times. And I'm looking for, the bigger number always had to be negative here, because they add to a negative. And these two are going to add to negative 5. So that took a long time for me to figure out how to split the middle, but it's always straightforward. I just figure out my factors, look for the one that adds to negative 5. So I'm going to split the middle. Again, copy the expression. 2 times 21x squared plus 7x minus 12x minus 4. Right? I still haven't changed the value of the whole thing. I've just split the middle up a little bit. And now I can group. In the first group in here, I'm going to have x as the common factor. So x times 3x plus 7. And in the second group, I'm going to factor out negative 4, I suppose. It's probably going to be the common term. So if I factor out minus 4, I'd be left with 3x plus 1. And those groups didn't work out, so I didn't find a greatest common factor there. So let's see. If I didn't find the greatest common factor, I might have to try grouping again. So I'm going to try grouping these differently. I'm going to do equals 2. I'm going to copy again 21x squared. This time I'm going to do minus 12x here. Plus negative 7x. No, that's positive 7. So plus 7x minus 4. Okay. So I'm going to group these two this time. The greatest common factor here is 3x, and I get 7x minus 4. The greatest common factor here is really just 1, I think. So I'm going to write plus 1, and I have 7x minus 4. And if you notice, it worked out better that time. I didn't have a greatest common factor here, but I was able to factor it. I was able to find a factor of 7x minus 4 over here. So I actually have a greatest common factor. So I could write 2 times 7x minus 4 times 3x plus 1. And that, I think, is one of the harder kinds of factoring problems, where I had to start by factoring out a greatest common factor. Then I had to split the middle. And finally, I realized that when I split the middle and factored it this way, I didn't end up with any like terms the way I would have expected. And so I had to split the middle a different way. Looking up at my process, I think I also made a mistake here, that I factored x out of 21 and 7, and I should have factored 7x, which would have left me with 3x plus 1. And if I'd had 3x plus 1 right there, it would have actually factored originally. So I think I made a mistake that made it look a little bit harder. Okay, That's how you factor by splitting the middle.